friends, welcome to Hersatility, where I bring some of my favorite women on that inspire me, that I admire, that I'm motivated by, to come and tell her story her way. Today, I have my girl. Where do I start with this one? One of the top producing immigration attorneys in Atlanta, probably the nation. Judge. So you'll refer to her as Your Honor. Literally, I need to say that a little louder because a Latina Dominican judge in the South. Is that heard of? Sorry, we're not gonna bring you in just yet. But my girl, Pamela Peynado, amazing friend, amazing woman, heart of gold. I don't know. There's not many people I know with a heart like yours, and I'm so happy to have you on here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. But okay, let me ask you. Outside of judge, outside of attorney Peynado, who is Pam?
Well, Pam is someone who loves music, someone who loves people, someone who loves the water. And it's so funny that you asked that because sometimes I have a hard time like separating myself. Like my identity has been the law.
Yeah.
A lawyer, right? Like a professional, but there's so much more.
And it's not just you. Mm-hmm. I find a lot of us women sometimes gain our identity and sometimes even validation from our career paths and professional lives. So that's why I'm like encouraging, like, okay, but you're so, like, I know personally, you're so many more things than that. You have so many layers to you. And I want people watching to know, like, who is Pam?
Oh my gosh. And keyword lately. Right. Because
it's ever evolving.
It's ever evolving. But the truth is that prior to this time in my life right now, I've only identified myself as a lawyer. Right. And then, you know, when I had the honor of becoming a judge, it's like, oh my God, I'm a judge, you know? And it's like, oh my gosh, my accolades in the field of law and this and this. And it's like, I am at a stage in my life right now where I'm like redefining who I am. Because I think, and I think you can relate as daughters of immigrants, as an immigrant ourselves, like everything that we do is around work. It's like, you know, even my mother, she would introduce me and be like, oh, this is my daughter. She's a lawyer.
Do you think that's an immigrant thing?
I think so. I do. Because I've been around, you know, different cultures. And I think like that's what they're most proud of. Like, what did my daughter accomplish?
That's true.
You know, and maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like my mother, right? That was her thing. It's like study, go to school, be a lawyer. I mean, since I was a kid. You know, and in sharing my story with other immigrants, they say the same. They're like, oh my gosh, my mom wanted me to be a doctor. That's it. You know, and I feel like if I didn't do it, I would let them down, you know? And that's how I felt. If I didn't study, if I didn't get straight A's, if I didn't go to law school, if I didn't become a lawyer, like, you know, what am I doing? I'm nothing.
Yeah. But now that's shifting.
Because now I'm like, okay, I've done all these things. Now what?
Yeah.
Right? Like I did all this. I've proven to my mother. I've proven like, to, you know, that I've done, I've worked hard enough. So now it's like, okay, now what does Pam want? You know, like what makes me really happy?
Pam?
Yeah.
Who is Pam?
Yes.
If all of that was stripped away.
Right.
Who is Pam? What does she stand for?
Yeah. And I think one thing that I struggle with too is showing who I am authentically, right? Like I'm a silly person. I'm a funny person. I'm a passionate person, you know? And I feel like sometimes being a lawyer or being in the field of law, you really can't be those things. Like silly, fun. Yeah, funny, like, you know, just, it's really hard. So it's almost like sometimes you got to show up and you got to be very proper. Because otherwise,
Pam, and that is Hersatility.
Yeah.
Because you're not alone.
Yeah.
And it could be lawyer or it could be executive or it could be like mom outside of momming. Like we have so many layers and dimensions to us that it's like we often feel as women, I don't feel like men feel this as often or experience this as often, but as women, we often feel like we have to switch who we are depending on the setting to be taken seriously 100%. As a woman, especially in rooms where it's mostly men or even mostly older white men. We feel we can't show that silly, soft, funny, artistic, whatever side, or else they won't take us seriously. And I don't like that.
I know, I don't either. Now I don't. Before, I'm like, when I went to a meeting, I was like, dress in all black, try to blend in. Don't do anything that can make you seem sexy or beautiful, or,
Same.
you know, like my heels have to be a certain way, my colors, like I spent so much time trying to fit in. And like, I think what makes us who we are is that we don't fit in. We don't fit the mold. That's what makes us so like unique and exciting,
So
and
makes
like
us us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you are a judge.
Right.
That's one of the
There's nothing to
highest
prove.
honors in law. The highest honor, right? You are that.
Yeah.
You are one of the top producing immigration attorneys in probably the US or Atlanta, right? You're already there, and you already are you. Like, you are the silly, funny, loves to travel, loves to eat, loves to just be fun and dance salsa and all these things. You're all that in one. And that's something I really want to portray to people and the audience, is just like, you can be that. You can be you and still be the highest honor in your career path or your field, literally.
Yeah. And it starts with like your mind.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I've had something to prove. You know, and it starts when I was a kid. Like I always wanted to please. You know, there was a time where I lived with my aunt, right? So I felt like I had no sense of maybe belonging. I was like, why can't I be with my mom? So I tried my best to be the best kid at my aunt's house, because I knew that if I did something wrong,
you felt like you were gonna get kicked out or something.
And it was the best. I mean, they were amazing. I love her to death, but still, it's not like being with your mother and your father, where it's
you felt like an outsider.
Like an outsider. And then all my life, I felt like I've grown up saying, I don't fit in here. Like I don't belong here. And even as I climbed up the ladder, I was like, you know, I gotta go above and beyond, because if I don't, I'm not worthy. You know, and that's a lot. Like,
you think that stems from little Pam?
100% from little Pam. Always like trying to go above and beyond, making sure that I didn't say things the wrong way. And I promise you, even as I became a lawyer, I'm like, oh my God, my English, it's, you know, I'm saying everything wrong. I'm like, it was all in my head. Like, I promise you, when I'm in the rooms now, I'm like, you can't speak proper English and this is your only language. So it's like, why was I so hard on myself? I'm like, I'm not good enough to speak in these conferences. I'm not good enough to speak in the courtroom. But you are good enough.
It's
you
like
are
imposter
enough.
syndrome.
100%. 100%. And I'm like, why am I so hard on myself? And now at 38, I'm finally like, you know what? You're enough. Like, you're pretty
What
cool.
got you there?
You know, I mean, I want to say that being around the right people, right? I think as you climb up, you are probably going to be around those people that are sort of in your field. So I'm in the field of law, which is very competitive, right? It's very like cutthroat, hardworking. I mean, hours and hours and hours. And I think I've gotten to a point where it's like, I don't want to do that 24/7. I want to be around, you know, folks like you, like creatives, artistic, loving. You know, I want to be around people that think outside the box. And now I'm seeing that there's so much more to life than working. And you can still work.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't define you like 100%. So I feel like the people that I'm around, they're opening my eyes.
They show you that more.
Yeah, and now I'm realizing it for myself. Like, man, there's more to life. There's more to me. Then I literally would be like, if I don't win a case, I'm a failure. I'm a disaster. I'm not worthy. You know, it goes right back to little Pam.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I'm not doing everything perfectly, then I'm not doing enough. But guess what? If I'm giving my best, I'm doing enough. And that's okay.
Yes.
So, you know, I loved like having the chance to talk to you, having the chance to talk to other young women who may be struggling with that identity, you know?
Yeah. So where, at this point in the journey, where's your validation coming from?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, I'm working on being 100% honest with myself, right? Because I do think that we enjoy validation from others. I still do, right? But I think, you know, I'm starting to tell myself that I'm good enough, right? Like tell myself, hey, I've done enough for today, right?
Which is a blessing.
Which is a blessing.
Such a blessing to be able to really do your passion and what 100%. You love and get paid for it.
100%. And I don't take it lightly.
Yeah,
but it's also not all of me.
At all.
Yeah. So, you know, now I'm like redefining who I am. I like to speak, right? I enjoy speaking in conferences.
I love Speaker Pam.
Yeah. You
just have so much to give. You have so much knowledge, so much wealth, you know, inside of you where I feel like, yeah, I just think it's a part of your walk.
Yeah.
Like you're helping people by speaking.
Yeah.
You're going to help people by telling your story on this podcast alone.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't want to, I feel like for a long time, I've kind of presented best version Pam. You know, very you know what I mean?
In this era of social media, I feel like
yes,
that's the thing.
Yes, very filtered, very like, you know, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to, but I'm not an offensive person. So when I'm being true to myself, I'm not an offensive person. I'm not going to do it. But in my head, I'm like,
that. Like if you're being authentic, what is there to be afraid of? Versus when you're putting on a face. Yeah, you might say something wrong and then look back and be like, dang, that wasn't even me. Why did I say that? But if you're being you, you can stand 10 toes down and be like, I said what I said. Like, I feel that way. And you know you're a good person to your core, like you just said. So it's like, why do we fear like how we're presented, how we come off, how we, you know, come off when we meet someone in person, or how our pictures come off on social media?
Oh my gosh, 100. I'm like, I would delay posting forever because I'm like, I don't like how I look, but this is how I look. Like, you know, and it's okay.
I don't like how I sound. Well,
I don't like how I sound.
It's what you sound like every day of your life. That's you.
Like, that's who you are. And honestly, what I felt like for a very long time, and to be honest, I just didn't like myself. So I was projecting, right? I was like, you know, I don't look my best. I don't look good. You know, we always talk about, I don't look skinny. I don't look this. But it's like, this is who you are, and why are you ashamed of it?
Why don't you feel worthy? I feel like is what I'm getting from all of us. Like even questions asked myself if I'm ever feeling that way, because we all do. And especially like, I feel like a message for young girls in this era of like, they're growing up on things we did not grow up on. They're literally in this social media era though. And I feel like a lot of that ties back to self-worth. Like you're basing your self-worth on likes and things like that. So
I couldn't have made it. No. Like, I think I'm like, thank God this wasn't around, because there was no way, you know, your self-esteem, like, you know, I struggled with my self-esteem, right? So I can only imagine when I get on Instagram right now, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. These people have planes, they have mansions, they have kids.
Those same people feel the same.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure, because social media is like a never ending, the bar keeps going higher. And, you know, I really had to take a break from it. I'm like, this is not good for my mental health, for me to always pick at myself. Like, oh, this doesn't look good enough. You know, this doesn't look good enough. And it's like, we're perfectly fine how we are. So now when I go, I'm like, okay, let me find a little entertainment and let me get out. Let me post what I need to post.
Everything with a grain of salt. Because people can look at your Instagram and think the same, right? You know what I mean? Like, we can look at everyone's and just, it's a highlight reel. We're all posting our accomplishments. We're all posting, you know, all of the good things, the travel, the this, the that. When it's like, they're not at home with me, you know, when I'm trying to get Paloma to go to bed and struggling. They're not at home with you when you might be, I don't know, arguing with your man, or, you know, feeling sad about something, whatever the case may be that we go through in our, you know, under our roofs and behind closed doors. So I think taking all of it with a grain of salt is really important. But today, do you feel worthy?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like I've done enough. I don't have anything else to prove. You know, like, now I want to pour into myself. I think I got my happiness from doing things for other people. And I got to be honest, like, sometimes I would kill myself on a case. This is a true story, right? Like, I would kill myself on a case, mess up a lot of relationships, mess up a lot of friendships, because I was so focused on this case. And then I would win the case, and that's it. Like, I'll never speak to the client again. We won the case. Great. And then I'm like, wow, you know, like, how did I pour into me? Like, why don't I build things and like relationships that are going to be long-standing, right? As opposed to just going all into my career. And then you win, and then it's kind of like, okay, next, you know? Yeah. So that's what I'm working on. It's like just spending time with the people that I love, spending time with the things that I love to do. Like I said, music, and just other things outside of work.
Yeah. So how has it been navigating through relationships, both romantic, platonic, whichever comes to your heart first right now, with that sigh?
That's
as
hard,
a high achieving woman like yourself?
That's hard. I think that's the hardest part, because when you're very ambitious and career oriented, that's a priority. And for me, for all of my life, that has been a priority over relationships, over friendships. And now I'm being honest with myself, and I'm really thinking, like, is it worth it? Right? Like,
What's more
is it
important?
really worth it? You know?
Because if I
Yeah.
have all these titles,
And
all
I'm
this
alone.
money, yeah, and I have
no friends.
Yeah.
And I've lost good friends.
Yeah.
You know, like, is it worth it? And I honestly now, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't want to be alone. You know, like, I want to have companionship. I want to have, you know, a sisterhood, right? And I'm like, that is what I want to focus on. That is what I want to do better in.
What, like, I guess, share with me, because I know you've had a lot of journey in both platonic and romantic relationships, like different journeys with friends and fallouts or whatever the case may be. And then in romantic relationships, you were once married, divorced. You know what I mean? You've been through a lot of different things where I feel like were opportunities to learn a lot on your end from both, like I said, platonic and romantic. So share with me a little bit about that, whichever one you want to start with or share first, and how, I guess, the lessons you've learned being a high achieving woman with your relationships, looking back now.
That's a great question. So I was married before. When I met my ex-husband, I was in law school, right? And my ex-husband is a lawyer, a great lawyer, right? And I was so focused on, like, my career. Like, I was like, you know, I want to be the best lawyer that there is. That was, you know, I was operating in this, like I can see it. I can see that I'm going to be this big time lawyer. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to take care of my family. And then I met him, and he was, I mean, a legend, right? Like, everything. I mean, he was so focused. He dedicated so much to his client. And I said, I'm going to be just like that. And literally, I think that's how we operated. It's like work. You know, he gave 100% to his clients. I gave 100% to my client.
And that's what were you guys giving to each other?
And it's hard, right? Because I feel like sometimes you don't have much to give at the end, right? So how can that work when you've given 100%? You only have but so much energy in the day, and you've given 100% to your clients, to solving problems. Because whenever somebody calls me, it's a problem, right? It's never like, hey, how you doing? It's always like, hey, oh my God, this happened.
Yeah.
I need you to help me, right? So you're giving all this energy away. What do you have left in your relationship? So, you know, that relationship, it ended in a divorce, right? We were, it was a very difficult, very painful experience, because, you know, that was really my best friend, like somebody that I admire, that I loved. And, you know, but it happened. Right? So went through a divorce. That was a very dark time in my life. I met somebody else. You know, we started a relationship. It was a very difficult relationship for outside reasons. You know, again, another wonderful human being. But I think when you're career driven, you cannot take a lot of outside influences, because you want to be focused on your goals. And, like, if you see, right, like in the future, there might be some drama, there might be some issues. You're like, I can't.
You want to minimize conflict. And you want your partner to add value, and you want to add value to your partner.
Yes.
And you want to come home and feel safe.
And you
don't want
peace.
it to come. War is outside of the home.
Yes.
You don't want to come home and feel more war. You want to come home and feel like, now I'm protected.
Yeah.
Now I'm safe. Now I'm good.
And I did feel protected, and I did feel safe in that relationship.
Maybe he made you feel that way.
Right.
But from what you're saying is, like, other things that he came with created conflict that is still inside of your home, even if it's not coming from him directly.
So, you know, that relationship didn't work out.
I want to rewind.
Okay.
When you were married, you said that was a really, really hard time going through your divorce, one of your hardest. So why do you feel that marriage ended, and what did you learn from that?
Oh my God. I could sit here and talk for hours.
Well, we got time, bro.
You know, I felt like I wasn't a team player. You know, the times that I saw him really struggling, I don't even know how to say it, but he was really struggling, you know, because he had so many cases, so many people's lives, like, in his hands. And, you know, instead of me also, right, like, just focusing on work, being inspired by him, being motivated by him, how he moved, I should have just stopped what I was doing, right? And been more of a support system, right? Because that's really what a marriage is a support system. It's like, hey, you know, it was crazy because now looking back, I'm like, man, like he went through a lot. And then what I would do is I would work more, right? Because I'm like, man, he's working harder. I need to work more.
You feel like you weren't there for him.
I was not, you know, and I was not there for a lot of people, you know.
You were just in that season.
Because I was just in that, I was motivated. I was like, man,
in that
you know,
mode.
in that like mode of, hey, I'm gonna be the best at, you know, at the law. Like I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna be just like him, you know. And I just wish like I could have been there more for him, more for a lot of people. You know, I just felt like, again, it was complete tunnel vision. And it made me a great lawyer, and you know, and I accomplished a lot. But looking back, I'm like, what really matters is people. And I love my clients and I love them and I do. But I'm like, my clients have their own families, right? I have my family, I have my friends.
And your clients at the end of the day is a transactional experience.
Exactly.
And you're providing value to their lives and they're paying you.
And you and I talked about this multiple times,
Yeah.
you know, because I even have a hard time. A lot of these cases I would do for free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
that's one of those things. And we can talk about that later. But yeah, just like our connection with money and relationship with money and like really believing like, why am I scared to charge this client? I'm literally stopping them from getting deported. I am saving your life and feeling guilty for charging you.
Yeah.
That's a wild concept.
It's so much guilt. Like I promise you, if I could sum up my life, like in the past, maybe 20 years, it's guilt.
Yeah.
I've had guilt for working too much, guilt for not being there in my relationships with my friends, like guilt for not charging what I'm worth. It's like so much guilt and it just builds and it just builds. And it's finally like, okay, I got to move differently. Because I don't want to live in the next season of my life with more guilt, right?
We're going to put a pin in that because I think that's like a really good topic. But okay, back to this marriage. Mm-hmm. You feel like you're not there for him. And so that ended.
Yes.
What was your biggest lesson there in that low point?
Yeah, I think my biggest lesson was I got to show up differently for the people that I love.
Okay.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
Work can wait. Clients can wait. Like you only have but so much energy. Mm-hmm. Who are you going to give your energy to? Because if you give all of your energy to your work or to things that don't matter, even to social media, like if you're giving all that energy, how much energy do you have left for the people that who
matter most?
Who matter? Yeah. And who they might not be doing well themselves. So they need your support. They need your positive energy. Mm-hmm. They need you to be there for them. Yeah. You know, and then you don't show up.
And then I asked just to understand the dynamics because we're going to talk about just relationships in general. For you, were you being poured into in that relationship, do you feel like?
I think he did the best that he could. Okay. But I think
he also maybe wasn't enough because he, again, also a super high producing individual, high achieving.
Yeah, I think he did the very best that he could. But I think he was also very tunnel vision. You know, and sometimes I did feel lonely.
Timing and okay. Yeah. So that happened. Mm-hmm. You experienced another relationship. Mm-hmm. What were the dynamics? And here it's not like I know a lot of y'all are nosy. We're not doing like, I'm asking these questions to understand the dynamics of dating and relationships and marriage as a high achieving woman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like you left one dynamic. The next one, was that a similar dynamic? Was it totally different?
I don't think I was ready for a relationship, but I just felt very lonely. You know, I felt very sad. I felt very lonely. I got into another relationship and it was a lot of fun. I got a lot of attention. Right? I got a lot of attention. That you weren't
getting previously.
That I felt like I needed. Yeah. Like I needed more attention. I needed a little bit more of a connection. And I think this relationship brought me that. Like it brought me a lot of attention, a lot of emotional support, a lot of just fun moments, right? A lot of traveling. And it felt good. Like this person had a great personality, was a great human being. But then things just didn't work out.
Was that really different from the previous? I asked that because I feel like as women, what I've noticed in myself, what I've noticed in other friends is when we get out of something serious, the very next thing tends to be the opposite of what we just got out of, because it's almost like we're like either like scarred or
Yeah.
whatever, where it's like we might have been with a super serious person, now we want a super
Yes.
funny person. Or we might have been with
Yes.
a very, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Yes. And I think, we had both lost our mothers. Like we
You
really
and
bonded. Me and the relationship that I got into
after.
right after
Okay.
my marriage.
It was what you needed in that moment. And it
Yeah.
was filling your cup in ways that
Correct.
maybe in that moment and season of your life is what you were prioritizing.
Right. Yes. And, everything just happened so quickly. Like, we met and we just bonded very quickly. And I think it's because we were really both broken, So when you're coming from a broken space, you latch on to, oh my gosh, this feels good. I'm getting a lot of attention. I'm getting a lot of love, I'm getting a lot of beautiful, fun moments. And you don't take that time to really heal.
Yeah.
Right? Like I experienced so much loss. I mean, I lost my grandmother who was my best friend. I lost my mother who was my best friend. I lost my husband who was my best friend. Right?
Yeah.
And this all happened in a matter of like 5 years. It was
That's
like
a lot
back
of
to back
grief
to back.
to experience.
Yeah, it was a lot. And instead it's like, I just want to feel good. I just want to feel like somebody's listening to me. And so I got into that relationship and everything was going well. But he had past relationships and situations that really I can tell that required a lot of his attention.
It was baggage.
Yeah. It required a lot of his attention. And it was just, it became a very difficult situation for me. And I just knew it. Like once it hit a point, I was like, we can't move forward. He knew it, right? And it was a very amicable, hey, you're a wonderful person, but the dynamics is just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was very difficult to date, right? Because I'm always at work. I'm always like doing something work related, so.
How did those two, or your biggest relationships feel or work with you as a high achieving woman? Like how was that dynamic? Did they respect that? Did they value that?
Yeah.
Did they not want that?
I think every man says they want
no, like some men really just want,
but they don't
stay at home.
Yes, that's what they want.
Yeah,
they want somebody there for them. They want that support system, because some people say, "Oh, I want my wife to do this," and
like
I want
a power couple.
Yeah,
there's so many different dynamics,
right? But really, what they want is they want a wife.
Yeah,
like, and maybe I don't know, but I feel like you may say you want something. But then you're like, once it comes down to it, I mean, you become an assistant of this, of this high, powerful, or whatever, high achieving woman.
Unless you two are high achieving. Then what does that dynamic look like?
I think someone has to sort of like bend, because both are going to be working nonstop. Both are going to be putting their clients, like first, their ambition, first. So one has to bend, right? In a way. It's tough because work is such a central part, of high achieving people that it's hard. And I hadn't figured it out. Like I felt like I got to work harder. I got to work harder. I got to work harder. There's some people that actually have figured it out because they work smarter, right? Like they figure out a way where they don't have to spend that much time.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah. But I felt like with both of them, it was hard because work came first. And I felt it. Now with my second relationship, I felt like, he definitely bended, when he was very accommodating as far as like my career.
Life. Yeah.
But the same. I mean, there was so many times that we couldn't spend together because he had kids, because he had a lot of work to do. And the same thing for me. Like I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of clients to meet.
And where are you now?
So I'm in another relationship. I'm very happy. We've been together for 2 years. It's interesting because I've always said, I want to date somebody older, right? Like 45 and up. I want to date, somebody that's in this level of their career, this. I mean, I prayed to God. I said, God, this. And God gave me somebody way younger, right? Gave me somebody that is a creative, right? But gave me somebody that has really opened my eyes, like 100%. I remember when we first started dating, I had a crazy day, full day, and it's like 8 p.m. and we're supposed to have dinner. And I'm like, okay, I gotta get on a Zoom call. And you can tell he literally started to like tear up, and he's like, Pam, you're gonna kill yourself. You understand that? And I said, what do you mean? Like, I've operated in this like 100 miles per hour all my life. What do you mean? He's like, you really got to slow down. Like, you're going to kill yourself doing so many things. And it's 8 p.m. and you've been out since 6 a.m. And now
Which
you're going to
is
get on a
such a
Zoom.
different dynamic because you were with men who were
100%.
doing the
The
same
same thing,
thing.
operating at that one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like no one has ever sat me down and said, you're working too much. Like, slow down. Like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? You've already accomplished it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's in this relationship that I'm like, let me like look around and enjoy, as opposed to like, let me achieve something else. Let me win something else. Let me take more on my plate. It's like, let me say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this person really wants my time and really wants my mental state to be in a like a good place. You know what I mean?
You were saying that you used to pray for like an older man who
Yes.
was
Close
here
to
and
retirement.
had this title, right? This up here in his career. God gave you that. And then I know from speaking with you personally, like God gave you that, but then you were missing certain other aspects that you found were important or necessary to fill your cup. Like, okay, no, now God, I want an affectionate man. Or what you speak to that, right? You tell me based on our conversations, like where did that shift? You then wanted, what was your priority and what you were looking for after those relationships?
You know, I don't think I knew what I was looking for. Like, I didn't know until God gave it to me. And he gave me somebody that is like 100% so tuned into what I'm feeling, like how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Aside from the work, like there's been so many times where he's like, you know, because he cares, he's like, are you sure you want to take this on? Where all my life I've been told, take that on. You can do that. Like, do more. You know what I mean? Like,
and which ones? Like, I find value in both.
In both, for sure.
So it's like, where's the balance there? Because it's almost like, all right, well, I don't want to start de-escalating in my career, although I appreciate that. But then it's also like, okay, well, I don't want burnout, although I appreciate the motivation. So like, where's the happy median there?
I think really you got to focus on your life. Like, we have one life, you know? And I think that's what I'm finally understanding through this relationship, where it's like, do I want to wake up one day and be extremely successful, filthy rich, and my life has gone by? Or do I want to really build those connections with the people that I love and really like enjoy my moments? And you can really do both.
You gotta be locked in.
I gotta be locked into something. And that's what I'm gonna have tunnel vision in. And right now, what I'm learning through my relationship is that I have to have tunnel vision on like my health, my mental state. You know, am I operating? And I promise you, I felt like for a very long time I was on autopilot. It was like, get up, go to, you know, do this, high achieving, get on this Zoom call, do this for the community, do this, on autopilot for many years. And now I'm like, whoa, like, I don't want to take this on.
Yeah.
This is really like not my problem.
Yeah.
You know? And in the old days, it was like, I want to be a hero to everybody. And now, you know, I feel like I have somebody telling me, prioritizing, like,
you can't pour out of an empty cup.
You can't.
So all this superhero Pam and helping Pam, you can't be that if you're not pouring into Pam, or someone's not pouring into Pam.
I was depleted. And like, I don't know, I mean, do you feel sometimes like you're like doing so much for everybody else and then Danny takes the backseat?
Oh yeah. I think that was my biggest lesson. I actually like had posted that my biggest lesson, I think of 2022, maybe it was you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's when I left the relationship with my child's father. It's when I became a mother, like shortly before that. And I realized like I am giving to everyone, like trying to be a good partner, trying to be a good mother, trying to be all these things. And I'm like, literally nobody is pouring into me. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So I think that's when I just learned, like, I think that's when I became kind of selfish in a healthy way. But I was really prioritizing myself at that time after that. And I think now I'm at a point where like, okay, I can kind of find a balance. But really for like the last 2 years, people have not heard from me. And it's not anything personal. It's just like, I have to be okay. And like, I don't know if I was a little jaded at one point, but I remember thinking like, because I would feel bad. I would feel guilty, like, dang, it's my best friend's birthday, or it's, my family's going through this, or whatever the case may be. And then I would be like, you just went through the hardest time of your life, and who got you out of it? You and God. So sorry, like, I don't know if that was the wrong way to look at it, but it was just like, sorry, everyone else these next 2 years takes a back seat. No one was, you know what I mean? Like, they were there, and I feel like I had a support system, but only to an extent, because nobody close to me has ever been through, most of them aren't mothers yet.
Yeah.
And then single mothers at that. So it's like nobody really knew what that journey looked like. And therefore, although I believe they love me and want to be there for me, they only could to a certain extent, because they don't know. They don't know what that looks like. They don't know what that feels like. And so, what was the question?
Just like,
do I feel like that's when I learned the lesson? Like, no, like being selfish is not wrong. And like having boundaries is not only not wrong, it's necessary. And in turn, being selfish and pouring into Pam is going to make you a better attorney. It's going to make you a better girlfriend, wife, mother, whatever it is, friend. It's going to make you better in all those things, because now you have something to pour from, and you're not empty.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have somebody now that kind of pours into you, or
not
you
us
still
turning the interview around?
Yeah, no, I'm just because
kidding. This is all conversation.
Because I really do feel like I wish a lot of people had the relationship that I have right now. Like, I really wish that they had somebody in their lives who literally sits down and says, like,
a partner,
a supportive partner, that's locked in, you know what I'm saying, like,
and emotionally intelligent.
But I'm just grateful. Like, every day I'm like, wherever, I pray we have a family, we're forever like locked in and together. But if we're not, I'm like eternally grateful for you just showing me that side. Because I'm telling you, like, and again, I hate to do this, but it goes down to little Pam. And it's like my mom, like, yo, you could do more. You could do more. You got a 98, you could have gotten 100. And me always like, I got to do more. I got to do.
Never good enough.
Never good enough. And, I'm in a relationship now where he's like, yo, you've done it. Like, there's nothing else to prove. You can, if you want to keep going, but also, like, are you really happy? Or do you just love filling your calendar with stuff and problems to fix? He hates, like, because I'm the type of person that I value more, like, I'll pay for something, right? Like, I don't want to have to go do that. I'll pay for it. And, this is your gift. He's a type that he's like,
There's no thought.
There's no thought.
It's so funny, Pam.
There is
because
no
I feel
thought.
like so many men think like that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I worked so hard. I'm going to spend a check on this and be grateful.
That's how I used
and
to
be happy.
That's how I used to.
I think so. Maybe it's not like a man-woman thing. Maybe it's just literally like a high-producing, like high. I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but like, you know what I mean? A successful career-driven person.
Yeah. I think he thinks so much differently. Like, I remember when I first met him, we were going to somebody's birthday, like a kid's. He went to the mall, spent hours like finding an outfit, finding little shoes. And I'm like, why don't you just give him a gift card?
Like, time is money and it is ticking.
But I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's thoughtful, it's intentional, and it's things that you haven't seen, I feel like, to that extent.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that you are happy. I love that you're thriving and glowing in this new relationship. I love that you've been open to, like, I just know there's so many people who are on either side of it, especially women like yourself that are successful and maybe have trouble in dating, and I feel like they could pull something out of this, which is be open. You think you want this kind of man, maybe
what you really need
is this kind of man. So I love that.
And it makes me be more thoughtful.
Right.
Like, now I'm like, okay, if I appreciate this thoughtfulness so much, like, let me be more thoughtful in my intentions. Like, not trying to rush through things, or like, hey, let me just give him cash. Let me give him a debit card.
He's grounding you.
Yeah.
It's just so funny and interesting to think about, because the dynamics are more often than not flipped. But it's like, I don't know, if nothing else, you just see there's so much value a person can bring to a partnership and a relationship that is outside of our typical gender roles or our typical expectations, or especially like our nowadays expectations that we have in dating. There's just real value that they can bring, that bring things to light that you've never thought before. And
I never saw
really
it.
Special. Yeah.
Like, I never saw it before, like a functioning relationship or like a functioning, marriage. So I didn't know, like, it's so important for the woman to be part of the house, right?
Yeah.
Like to be present, right? To like listen, to, you know, cook sometimes, right? If that's what they want to do.
Certain dynamics.
Yes.
Because there are some people that it works like 50-50. Let's both cook, let's both work, let's both do XYZ. There's some that are like, no, I do want gender roles, and I want to go make the money, and I want you to cook and clean and be here for me, and you know, be a homemaker and make this home a home. There's so many different dynamics. And what I say at the end of the day is like, I don't think there's a right or wrong. So I hate that there's so many conversations and podcasts that are like, you need to do this and you need to do that. You need to find the person that wants what you want
and
matches that. And that is it.
And be open to it. Because you never know. Like I said, I would have never, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, do you see yourself in this relationship? I'd be like, no, I don't see it. You know, because I always thought.
And now you're so happy.
And now I'm happy.
And you're making it work. So it's almost like, to get something different, you got to do something different. Tell us about more on how you guys met.
So he was my neighbor, and I would always see him, and I would always talk to him, like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how's your day? And he would just be like,
and that's just natural friendly Pam. Yeah.
I'm just a friendly person, but I was kind of like, man, he's cute. So I was like, how's your day going? He'd be like, fine, and just leave. Then the next time I see him, like, oh, what you doing today? He's like, nothing. Just walk away. And I'm like, what the heck?
So you were kind of trying to shoot your shot.
I mean, like, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
But not really. But, like, he's kind of cute.
Okay.
Like, I always saw him, you know? Always. When we got on the elevator, he'd be right there. It was like...
Yeah, wow.
So, you know, and then finally, I'm like, you know, do you like dancing?
You asked him that.
I did.
He wasn't giving you attention. And
I was like, you like dancing? And he's like, yeah, I like dancing. I said, oh, we should go to a salsa class together. He's like, yeah, that'll be cool. And then we ended up like exchanging numbers, and we were.
So after that, it was cool. He wasn't short anymore.
So you know what's funny? I asked him, I was like, why were you so short with me? Like every single encounter. And he's like, every time I saw you, you looked too busy. And I just didn't want to be bothered with that. Because I felt like I was never going to have your attention and like you had too much going on. And I'm like, I can't say that you're wrong. Wow. Because I was always running in and out on the phone. Like, you know, he's like, and really what I wanted was like somebody that we could like really talk and not somebody that's like in the middle of a conversation. Oh, wait, I got to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
which hasn't changed. It's still like, but
I'm more grounded now.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was interesting. And to women that ask me, they're like, I would never approach a guy. I'm like, honey,
was that your first time doing that or no?
Yeah, that was my first time. Like,
I've never shot my shot.
Never. Try it next time.
I can't.
Try it next time.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can. I don't even. And maybe that's something I need to work on. I don't even like. You know how you can at least hint? Like you were like, hey, how? I don't even do that. I barely even look at you. I want you to read my mind.
But
I want you to read my mind and know that I think you're cute. No, I don't want to show you anything.
No, what if he's shy? Like you don't want somebody that's like, because I had several guys that were like, hey, how you doing? How is this? And I'm like, oh,
I don't think I'd want a shy man.
Okay. That's honest.
Yeah.
So you're not going to shoot your shot.
Huh? The next one's going to be really shy. I know. That's how God works, right? No, I don't think I want a shy man. I really love a reserved man.
Okay.
I really love a low-key man.
Yeah.
I don't love like a, I don't know, I'm the star of the show kind of man. I don't like that. But I don't like a shy man.
Okay.
Because timid is giving me, I don't want to offend anyone.
No. But you just never know. Because like I said,
I'm open. Because you know what? Whatever I've liked in the past hasn't worked. So
you never know. Like I said,
I just don't know that I could shoot my shot. But you're saying women need to shoot their shot more.
I feel like if it's in you, just like go for it. If you're literally thinking about it, like,
You know what it is? It's not because I really believe like I hate egos, right? Like I really believe you need to take your ego out of things and you don't need to operate with ego. But the thing with shooting your shot is I like to be courted. And I feel like if I'm shooting my shot with you, am I setting that expectation for like, I'm about to court you? Because that's very far from what it needs to be. You know what I mean? For me, it's like, I want you to court me, you know? I don't know. And that could be a traditional gender role type of vibe, but I think maybe that's more of a reason why. I just don't know that I would.
And that's fair. Like, but I would just say, I think it worked out for me because I don't
just
think.
Be open.
Yeah, just
if
be
you
open.
get nothing else from this podcast, be open to trying new things. Step out of your comfort zone and do things that you wouldn't normally do. And I feel like it leads, I mean, literally in life, whether that's in your personal and dating and career, it leads to things. I feel like it leads to what's supposed to happen, but you have to sometimes take that leap of faith or that uncomfortable action.
Yeah.
But I've loved having you on here. I've loved learning, just talking dating and especially from somebody like you. I feel like it's really insightful. It's been really fun. And a little to like how our conversations that we have every day. But I'm so proud of you. I'm very happy that you tried something different and that you're in something that's filling your cup and that you're happy and finding that balance, that work-life balance. Is there a work-life balance before we wrap? Like, do you believe in work-life balance? What's that? What is work-life balance?
Doesn't exist. It's a myth.
No, I agree.
It's like, you got to give 100% to something and give 100%
and just know that there's different times for each.
That's it.
Yeah.
The timing.
Like maybe these 6 months, sorry, baby. I'm locked in. It's work. And then the next 6 months, you guys travel the world.
You have my undivided
It might not be 6 months, maybe years, but that's good to know. I feel like that's important because we always hear work-life balance and talk about work-life balance, but to an extent, one or the other is going to get more attention. And it's just inevitable.
Yeah.
But okay, I want to know, in dating, career, whatever, what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned through everything that you've been through?
The biggest lesson that I've learned is just to be present. Like, be in that moment. Whatever it is you're doing. I often was looking for that work-life balance. So I'm always thinking about the next.
You're thinking about life at work and you're thinking about work in life.
And now it's like, you know what? When I'm at work, I'm present. I'm like, which I've always been. But now when I'm at home,
you're carrying that
I'm
into
there.
Your personal life.
My phone is over here. Like I'm trying to be, I want to be present. I want to not miss these moments because that's the most important part of life is that connection, that relationship.
I love that. And then how do you feel, in your opinion, you embody hersatility, the idea of hersatility, especially you? Because like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, you are a judge. You are a high achieving, high producing, super successful attorney. But you're also so many other things. You're also a girlfriend. You're also an amazing friend. So how, in your opinion, do you embody hersatility, and what kind of guidance would you give to women in that sense of like showing up authentically in all settings?
I think hersatility stands for like being you, your story, whatever it may be. It's
all of the things.
All of the things that make you like who you are. Sometimes I feel like I'm embarrassed to say this, or I may be embarrassed, but why? It's my life, right? Like it's who I am. It's what makes me who I am. And you shouldn't be embarrassed of no parts of your life.
And it's gotten you far.
Yeah. And it's perfectly fine because it's your story, like, so just live it, enjoy life, and whatever happens, happens.
Period. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Hersatility. Pamela, thank you so much again for being here. I love you. Where can they follow you?
They can follow me at Atlanta Immigration Lawyer. That's my Instagram. And just stay tuned.
Yeah. Well, you guys, stay tuned for more. Thank you for watching this episode of Hersatility with Pamela Peynado. Make sure you follow her and stay tuned for more.